So we finally got an update on the Deshaun Watson situation, and I know you guys are going to probably want to burn me at the stake because of all the videos I made recently in regards to Deshaun Watson. So I'm going to give you guys an update as to what's going on, why he hasn't been traded during the trade deadline like many analysts said, and I even suggested, even though I kind of saw this possibility also coming. It really depended on one factor. But since I'm Microphone and I hold myself accountable whenever I'm being an idiot, I'm going to go change out of this shirt for you guys. Of course, make sure you sack the like button for the YouTube algorithm, consider subscribing and turning on our notifications, and if you want to purchase a bunch of these shirts to give them to your friends that thought Deshaun Watson was going to be on the Miami Dolphins by the conclusion of today, well, you could go to microphone.org. A link to that's in the description down below. We're going to be selling these for the next couple of days. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Today, Adam Schefter posted an update in regards to Deshaun Watson, and unfortunately, I decided to respond to it on Twitter, and I got absolutely ethered on Twitter as a result of my response to this. Because, of course, every single time there was some sort of reported update into Deshaun Watson potentially getting traded, I brought it to you guys. Whether it was John McClain a couple of weeks ago saying it's a foregone conclusion that Deshaun Watson will get traded within the next 2 weeks, all the way to Mike Florio saying that there's no way Deshaun Watson will be on the Houston Texans past the trade deadline, all the way up until the trade deadline happening and Deshaun Watson remaining on the Houston Texans. Now, I wanted to remind you guys my original take on this entire situation was it was 100% dependent upon how much Brian Flores and Chris Grier, the general manager of the Miami Dolphins, job was in jeopardy. And based upon that, it seems like the Miami Dolphins are being a little bit more patient here, and this entire situation makes complete sense. Although I feel really bad for Deshaun Watson because he's probably not going to play football for an entire season. So let me catch you guys up to speed and tell you how we got here. After the best individual season of Deshaun Watson's career, where the man literally threw for 4,800 passing yards, completed 70% of his passes for an obscene 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, after the Houston Texans traded DeAndre Hopkins, unfortunately the Texans only won 4 games. And even worse, they didn't even have the number 3 overall pick that year that they should have received. Unfortunately, they decided to trade that in addition to another first round pick for Laramie Tunsil. And now the Houston Texans were a shell of their former selves, and of course, the straw that broke the camel's back was when Deshaun Watson came out and said that he wanted to be involved in personnel decisions. He wanted his voice to be heard in regards to the general manager and head coaching search that the Houston Texans needed to conduct over this past offseason, so at least he could feel like he had a hand in determining the direction of the franchise. Now, Cal McNair, the owner of the Houston Texans at the time, said that they're for sure going to hear out Deshaun Watson and make sure that he's involved in these decisions. But shortly after, Cal McNair went out and hired Nick Caserio, a guy that the Houston Texans originally tried to hire about a year prior, but unfortunately was blocked by Bill Belichick, which resulted in Bill O'Brien taking over as the head coach and general manager simultaneously for the Houston Texans, which is what eventually resulted in the series of horrible roster transactions that destroyed the Houston Texans. So the Texans got their man in Nick Caserio, but it was a little bit too late, and Deshaun Watson got really pissed off about this because he felt like once again his input was not heard, and as a result Deshaun Watson demanded a trade after tweeting out some things never change. Of course, at the time it was considered to be a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. Once you hit on a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, there's no way the Houston Texans were going to move on from him. After all, this is probably their greatest draft pick in the team's entire franchise history, and it's very hard to hit on quarterbacks, especially in the crapshoot that is known as the NFL draft. But Deshaun Watson was absolutely pissed off and, of course, started pushing for a trade. Shortly after we got this report, and of course, I'm not trying to insinuate anything because this investigation is still undergoing, but the neighbor of Cal McNair, a lawyer by the name of Tony Busby, came out and made these allegations suggesting that Deshaun Watson was involved in misconduct. And every single time I get into this part of the story, this video gets demonetized, so if you could take a moment and leave a like on this video so it could keep getting promoted in the algorithm despite YouTube not making any money off of this video, which is why they probably won't promote it in the algorithm, I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, if you could consider subscribing and hitting our notification bell, that'd be appreciated as well. First of all, I gotta tell you guys that I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is just advice from a guy that has dealt with some symptoms that may have been in a situation that you're currently in and found a way to feel better. That's why this video sponsor is by Hone Health. Now, Hone Health is a company that is designed to make sure men feel better about their hormones, primarily testosterone. As we get older, our hormones begin to drop a little bit, and the things that you were able to do when you were younger, you're not really able to do anymore. Seeing an attractive woman may not get you as excited as you once were. You might feel a little bit more tired and less energetic, and benching 2 plates at the gym might be a little bit more challenging than it once was. And that's because one of our key hormones is testosterone. And as you get older and older, your testosterone levels get lower and lower, and therefore your energy levels drop, your sex drive drops, your appetite goes down, and your general confidence might be a little bit lower. Now, instead of going and paying a doctor something like $1,000 for him to draw your blood and then waiting 4 to 6 weeks to see if you do have a low testosterone problem, which by then your results could be bunk because it's been way too long, Hone Health sends you this test for you to go and conduct on yourself. They have a nice little pin tool. It's super easy. You put it on the card and then you send it back to them. They go ahead and check out whether or not your testosterone is out of whack. They get you a consultation with a doctor, and if your testosterone is out of whack, then they'll put you on a supplementation plan to get you back to normal. And currently, if you use my promo code Mikerophone, you only need to pay $45 for a limited time only to get yourself your own Hone Health test and a consultation with a doctor. So go to honehealth.com/microphone or use my promo code today so you could get a huge discount on fixing one of the most neglected and biggest problems that men face. And thank you, Hone Health, for the sponsor. At the time that I'm making this video, Deshaun Watson is still under investigation for the allegations that were made in regards to misconduct with multiple masseuses, which by the way is super shady to me in the sense that why do you have multiple masseuses, Deshaun? Going into training camp, the Houston Texans hired a brand new head coach in David Culley. They started trading a bunch of their better players for draft capital, and it looks like this team, which was once a very promising Super Bowl contender, is now headed for a full-scale rebuild. Deshaun Watson gets to watch his former teammates JJ Watt and DeAndre Hopkins compete for a championship in Arizona, while he is pretty much sitting on the bench on a team that is headed absolutely nowhere while he's undergoing these investigations. But you also have to bear in mind that Watson is technically allowed to play at this time. However, the Texans are not playing him currently. He is not on the commissioner's exempt list while these investigations are ongoing, and it was considered a foregone conclusion that since Watson wasn't going to be playing for the Houston Texans this season despite him being capable of doing so, and despite him being at some moments of training camp, we all thought that there was no doubt in our minds that eventually a team was going to step up and trade for him. During the time of the NFL draft, the San Francisco 49ers were rumored to be trading for him, but they eventually decided to draft Trey Lance and hopefully develop him over the summer. We heard rumors about the Carolina Panthers being interested and then not as interested, but they seem to be firmly committed to Sam Darnold. You hear that the Philadelphia Eagles have a tremendous amount of draft capital and they're desperate to get a franchise cornerstone like Deshaun Watson, but Deshaun Watson won't waive his no trade clause for him. And then you hear reports that he will waive his no trade clause for them, which brings us to the most likely candidate to trade for him, and that's the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are in a very unique situation in the sense that they went 10-6 last year with a combination of Tua Tagovailoa and Ryan Fitzpatrick starting under center for them. But of course, they just recently spent a top 5 pick on the former University of Alabama signal caller, so it may have been a little bit premature to go ahead and pull the plug from Tua and try to trade for Deshaun Watson. But this season was a little bit different. After Tua went down with a rib injury following week 2, the Miami Dolphins had no choice but to play Jacoby Brissett over the next couple of weeks. As a result, the Miami Dolphins are currently in the midst of a terrible situation. They've only won 1 game this season, and the worst part of all of this is they traded their own pick to Philadelphia last year as a result of them feeling like they were on the up and up. Here are these reports that Brian Flores was not able to engage the players of the Miami Dolphins. And you may have heard that the general manager of the Miami Dolphins seat, Chris Grier, might be heating up, which puts them in this very difficult situation. Do you make a trade for Deshaun Watson? On one hand, you know the asking price for this guy is something like 3 first-round picks or 2 first-round picks and multiple second-round picks, and then you'll get a transcendent star that could potentially not play next season, but could at least finish the remainder of this season. He's going to have to come in and learn your offense, and then hopefully he could power you guys through to an additional 8 to 9 wins, and maybe you guys will become a playoff team, but the odds of that working out are slim to none. Maybe if the Miami Dolphins won 2 or 3 more games, it'd be a different conversation. Maybe if Tua Tagovailoa gave us a bit more of a sample size to determine whether or not he's going to be a competent QB in this league, then we'd be having a different conversation. But at this point, there's no point for the Miami Dolphins to trade for Deshaun Watson, mainly because there's no upside. Why would you give up multiple first-round picks for a player that wouldn't even be able to push you guys to the NFL playoffs anyways? And that's where Adam Schefter comes in today. According to Schefter, although the Miami Dolphins did due diligence on Deshaun Watson and had conversations with Houston, Miami will not make a trade for the quarterback, per source. Dolphins owner Stephen Ross, who had contingencies that needed to be met for any deal, made the final decision to not move forward. While Miami did consider bringing in Deshaun Watson, no deal was ever in place, and the Dolphins will stick with Tua Tagovailoa, a young QB who has shown improvement this year. So I'm going to hold myself accountable. There was a report that came out that apparently the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans agreed to terms on a trade. But the one thing that was holding the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans from making that trade, as I stated in my last video, was the fact that the Miami Dolphins needed some sort of guarantee that Deshaun Watson will be cleared to play, which is something that the Houston Texans couldn't get for the Dolphins. And Ian Rappaport doubles down on this take, saying that Texans QB Deshaun Watson not settling his legal situation has resulted in him not getting traded, a source said. Watson will stay put in Houston until the offseason. Now, of course, Rappaport continues on by saying that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross received permission to speak with Deshaun Watson, but only last night. As complicated a deal as this is, that wasn't enough time. And honestly, that's fine. Nick Caserio isn't in a situation to try to trade Deshaun Watson as soon as possible, and at this point, it would have made more sense to wait until the offseason and see what type of compensation you could get from QB needy teams. Maybe by then, Deshaun Watson's legal situation also clears up a little bit. But for now, it looks like Deshaun Watson is going to be stuck on the Houston Texans for the remainder of the season, while Tua Tagovailoa will actually get a full season to show the Miami Dolphins what he's made out of. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this report. Do you believe that the Miami Dolphins made a mistake, or do you think it was the right call not trading prematurely for Deshaun Watson? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.